Welcome to the Snap UK podcast, your news and views and opinions for all the things you need from the NFL on this side of the pond. I am without script, I am sitting on a child chair, I am crowded round a table and I've had no sleep. This is going to go extremely well. So, it was Super Wildcard Weekend in the NFL. Thank you, Paul, I just thought I'd put that in just for you. And we had 6 games to try and stay up and watch, because a lot of them are on at silly o'clock at night here. We will work through them, NFC, then AFC, and then we will go to the associated fixtures in the divisional round. We have, yeah, well, obviously you build fixtures from these games. Okay. We also have to cover some firings, some potential hirings and who's going where, and maybe the end of a career, or two. So, first game we're starting with, Seahawks 23, Niners 41, a blowout in the end, but Seahawks led at half-time. This was a closer game than anyone thought it was going to be for 3 quarters.
It reminded me a bit about the Raiders game we played 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, except we were better in the second half.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was nervous during this game because you never know what's going to happen with divisional opponents. But in hindsight, Seattle played the perfect game in the first half. Everything went right. And they still only led by 1 point.
1 point, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected them to lead at all, but they kept it close. Pete Carroll had done a good job.
Yeah.
Gino was nigh on perfect in the first half.
Absolutely. The 49ers pass coverage was frustratingly bad in the first half.
I would say it's the worst your defence has played in a fair few weeks, to be fair.
Probably since the Raiders game.
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought it was worse than that, to be honest. But the pressure is on in this game as well. Yeah. A game you're not expected to lose against a divisional rival.
I think the benefits are that, once again, the half-time adjustments worked to an absolute dream. And they've been doing that consistently throughout the year. There was a good period of 5 or 6 games where they barely gave up a point in the second half. And that's coaching. That's coaching both from Kyle Shanahan and D'Amico Ryans on the defensive side of the ball. And I thought the other benefit was Brock Purdy. He didn't look flustered. He didn't look like a rookie quarterback behind centre. He looked... I know we're going to make this comparison based on where he's drafted, but he looked like Tom Brady. Just looked calm, controlling the offense, confident, made the throws count. And then the selflessness from a lot of star players to make the whole thing work as a team. You know, we saw blocking from Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, who is famous for blocking, and just halfway down the pitch, allowing Christian McCaffrey to get 60-odd yard runs. It was a good team performance, capped off by what is probably the most convincing win of the weekend.
CMC was the quickest he'd been in about 3 years or something ridiculous.
Like
yeah. He's fit
got
now.
20 miles an hour.
He is fit.
Yeah, because you've used him reasonably sparingly.
Yeah,
You've rotated him well.
You can do less.
Brock Purdy, first rookie quarterback with 4 touchdowns in a playoff game, which is fairly impressive. Also, the most points scored by a rookie in any playoff game ever.
Even you saw that incompletion towards the end of the game where he scrambled around. I think he had the ball for 11 seconds.
Yes.
And it's just... It's only because Brandon Ayuk couldn't catch it. It wasn't a touchdown. It's brilliant.
It's mad, isn't it? It's like a Jimmy Garoppolo who can run.
Do you want to take a guess at the following? The list of players with 300 or more passing yards and 4 or more offensive touchdowns in their first playoff game.
Trevor Lawrence.
No.
Or did he get to 288, didn't he?
There are 2 current quarterbacks and 1 former,
Mahomes.
and they've all won the Super Bowl.
Mahomes.
No.
Rodgers?
Yes.
Russell Wilson?
No.
Sorry, 2 current and 2 former.
2 current, 1 former, and Brock Purdy.
Peyton?
No.
Drew Brees?
No.
How former are we talking about?
Not the era we're in now, but the previous golden era. So the turn of the century onwards.
Turn of the
So no, after Marino, but before peak Peyton. So right in there.
Ooh. Bloody hell.
It's a narrow window of about 6 or 7 years.
Warner?
Yes, Kurt Warner. Yeah. And one more that I'll be very impressed. Kurt Schwarber.
I've got Kurt Warner
Still playing now. Has won the Super Bowl.
There's not that
False.
many of them.
No. 4 or more touchdowns. Paul, for the benefit of the listeners, had to take his dog out for a shit. 4 or more offensive touchdowns and 300-plus pass yards in their first playoff game.
Marcus Mariota.
No.
He's not won the Super Bowl.
He's not won the Super Bowl. Come on now.
Are we talking won the Super Bowl as a starter?
Yes, absolutely. Was part of the reason they won the Super Bowl.
No one's mentioned Tom Brady yet, have they?
It was not Tom Brady.
Matt Stafford.
Is the other one. So Brock Purdy in some. It's a relatively good company there. It's look. He's been the find of the season. We were discussing this the other day. What do you do with Trey Lance? He's going to be the backup next year. Is what you can do.
It's
with
mad
Trey
when you think Skylar Thompson was taken just before Brock Purdy.
He was the quarterback taken before Brock Purdy. Yeah.
Coaching matters. Yeah.
As for the Seahawks. Look, Geno is going to be an unrestricted free agent. He clearly wants to get a deal done. He said as much after the game.
He wants to retire a Seahawks.
He does. He said the team showed faith in him.
It's a team that's
he wants
playing
to reward them. For what it's worth, I think they'd be foolish not to keep him. As long as they haven't got to pay him more than $30 million.
I think $30 million is a decent deal for.
I don't know. I think they'll get him cheaper.
I think they might.
He's been playing for $7 million. If he gets double that, he should be happy.
If he gets 20 to 25, they should both
2-year
be
deal at 20 to 25. Absolutely, because he runs their system perfectly.
He's had Pete Carroll wants.
He's had the odd bad quarter, but other than that, he's been spot on. He's never going to be flashy.
Seahawks would have had a better record if Tyler Lockett didn't get injured. I don't think they'd have finished. I think they'd have finished 2 games better off, maybe.
I think
because DK Metcalf was just.
Oh, he was brilliant.
But because Lockett was back.
Yeah.
Because when Lockett is not there,
he gets covered.
He just gets double teamed.
Yeah.
That's a lot to double team as well. I think also it just shows that Seattle weren't that bad a team. Everyone's saying this Wilson trade was going to be the death of them. And
well, if ever there was a trade that one side won convincingly, based on the first season of it happening, I think it's Seattle. Because they now go into the draft, remember, with, I think it's a number 5 overall pick.
But they drafted a great running back, didn't they?
Yeah,
absolutely. He has been brilliant. I know Griff picked him up quite early.
Kenneth Walker, III.
He has been
top 3 or 4 running back in the league this year. He was brilliant.
Yeah,
he really was
brilliant.
I drafted him.
You did.
I had to let him go.
You did. I mean, never mind.
We all make mistakes.
Nobody's mentioned Deebo Samuel, which is a first on this podcast to get this on. 6 receptions, 133 yards, and a touchdown on 9 targets.
Debo looked like Debo.
I mean, that is helpful.
No, it looks like we've actually got. We had injuries at the start of the season, rather than the end.
He's obviously come back from injury. He was fit last week, but he wasn't prime Debo. But Deebo Samuel, he ups his game in the playoffs over the last few years.
Elijah Mitchell's back. It's worrying.
I also want to check in on players I've never heard of the week.
Go on then.
Diemiodor Leonio.
Oh no, he's been around for a while.
Who the hell is he?
He's our cornerback.
How have I never heard that name
He
before?
was drafted.
I've heard his name. My sofa's just floated.
Yeah. No, he's been our I guess the second quarterback behind Chevarius.
I've heard of him because a lot of teams are picking on Lenoir, or
how are we pronouncing it?
Lenoir.
Lenoir.
I think we'll go with Lenoir.
I think he gets a rough deal because he's not Ward. Ward has played brilliantly this year. Lenoir it's his second year. He's played to a decent level, but he's definitely the lesser of the two.
You also wanted me to point out that Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles had a tackle in this game.
He
showed up for the second week running.
He had 3 tackles in this game.
Wow, I mean, that's
from
great.
being almost injured to actually showing up and competing. Go on, John,
a lot of the game also helps that the weather changed at halftime because it was appalling the first half, and the Seahawks were able to move the ball much better in the inclement conditions, and in the second half, the inclement conditions
went
gone. They're gone. Basically, the sun came out, and we just know that 49ers quarterbacks can't throw in the rain.
Apparently not.
It's it's
because they spend all year in California.
Yeah.
But no, I can't judge Purdy other than he was.
Was he 6 wins in a row now to start his career?
Yeah.
That is crazy. Is that the most ever now? He was tied at 5.
I
don't
know.
I haven't got that.
I thought he was
information.
tied at 5.
It may well be.
Potentially, I don't know.
5 regular season games. I'm sure that was the most of a rookie.
I know he's thrown multiple.
Wasn't he tied with Warner?
He's thrown multiple touchdowns in 7 consecutive games, which ties him with as a rookie record with Justin Herbert.
Wow.
I mean, like, these are some big names we're talking about around Brock Purdy.
And Brock Purdy wins games.
Well, there is that as well.
Well, he does. I think the other thing is, and we talk about like quarterbacks who have only had a year's experience in college coming in and they're absolutely failing in the NFL. Brock Purdy had 4 years college experience as a
Because
starter.
they should. Yeah, that's what they need.
Yeah.
Big Ben won his first 14.
Did he?
14.
He might be the most wins for an undrafted quarterback.
He wasn't undrafted.
Well, like low draft because Big
He's
Ben
the-
won his first 14.
It's the closest you
14.
could get to one draft.
Literally
Yeah.
one pick away.
And that's why we were comparing it to Warner.
He was
'cause I
literally
think
picked
Warner
one
was
pick ahead of
undrafted,
any of
wasn't
us.
He was thing. So, but yeah, I think Big Ben came in with 14 wins.
Wow, that is impressive. Right, it's time to move on to what I think is a very popular game at this particular table. Giants, a massive 31. Vikings, an extremely disappointing 24. But I did pick it. I was pleased. I stuck by my guns. The Giants turning over the Vikings, the pretenders all season, as they've been called. Their only loss in a one-score game all season in the playoffs.
In Minnesota.
In Minnesota.
And they'd only lost one game at home all season.
So where do you want to start with this one then? Do you want to start with how great Danny Dimes was? Because this was his best game as a Giant.
Ever.
It was.
He was
really
brilliant.
was.
He was absolutely brilliant.
He did nothing wrong.
No. And
Yeah.
that is what he has to do for this team to win.
Be flawless.
Yeah.
Constantly flawless.
No, just don't turn it over. Don't make a mistake.
He has the least turnovers of a quarterback this year. Was something?
He's the least of all the
Percentage.
quarterbacks in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yes. You're like, he's, once again, he's well coached now.
Yeah.
Daboll came in. He's bought Kafka. He bought the quarterback's coach. So basically, he's now working with the guys who built Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Like, Danny Dimes, on his best day, is Josh Allen light. And
I thought he was Josh. He probably played better than
He
Josh
played-
Allen.
he did play better than Josh Allen.
This week.
but as well, it's not just Danny
one.
Dimes. The sack one was brilliant, and the defense, like
Sexy Dexy.
everyone came in going, "Oh, the
He's so good.
Kirk Cousins can't take it when they blitz him." So they didn't blitz him; they just confused him because they had an extra man on Justin Jefferson who did fuck all.
They just had a 300-pound man ram down him for 4 quarters. It was amazing.
But you look at, I think that there's two things on. One is, you're right, the coaching of this team has been absolutely brilliant this year on offense and on defense, but also how the team's built, because you remember the Giants came into this season in absolute cap hell. Like, they had one of the worst cap situations. And they went out and signed a number of players who no one else wanted. No one, like Jalen Smith, the linebackers, being the Cowboys and the Packers. Isaiah Hodgins, 8 receptions, 105 yards and a touchdown.
Darius Slayton played okay this week.
Darius Slayton played well. Like,
We know I hate Giants wide receivers, but they did okay this week.
They signed Landon Collins for about $210,000.
Did Golladay
didn't
get
they?
a catch or not?
No, but what Golladay did...
What his
block.
block.
Yeah.
yeah.
But this is the thing.
It was Kittle-esque. It was fucking exciting.
Twice.
He absolutely destroyed a man.
The thing, this is what made me think Daboll has to be coach of the year. Not because of that one Golladay block, but just the team spirit.
Yeah.
I I've been supporting the Giants for
This has got to be
15
between.
years.
It's got to be between them and him and Pedersen, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still going to throw Shanahan in there because
Because you always
yeah,
do.
'cause I
You
always
mention
do.
him every year.
Did he make the Pro Bowl, Shanahan? Oh, probably not.
I was
Max Crosby did.
Because I was reading about Daboll's methods for hiring people this year, and basically, he was left with the special teams coach. Everyone else had gone with Joe Judge, so
which is not a bad thing, actually.
not a bad thing. And so he did the interview process, him and the special teams coach, and then everyone who was hired was just added to the interview panel. So in the end, the last guy hired was Wink Martindale, who was interviewed by 14 men, which must be the most insane interview panel there. Like, Daboll leads it, then everyone else gets some questions. You're like
What way to lead a team? If you've got one person that says no, it's all right, okay, yeah, fine.
well, that's it. He goes to them. He goes, I get my say, but
Yeah.
I want to know who you guys can work with, because I think the only one he sort of rushed through was was Wink Martindale, because I think during the interview process he got a call from the Broncos or something to set, and he was like, "Yeah, no. How about we just sort your contract out now, here and then?" And that's what happened. Yeah. And unfortunately, I do think Martindale will go.
He's funny to watch on the sideline as well.
Yeah,
like he is funny. He gets proper angry.
He really does. But yeah, no, like it's a testament to great coaching, which that's what the best team should be. So it's nice to.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants did what the Packers did to Justin Jefferson, in their second game. I mean, 7 catches for 47 yards. That's an average of 6.7 yards a catch. That's un-Jefferson-like. And that's just because of the scheme that he put out there.
And he
shut him down
there.
there.
A couple of early catches
as
well, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah, his longest was 10 yards.
While we're talking about the Vikings, the positive, the trade for TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
What an acquisition that has been.
Second best trade of the year.
Absolutely incredible. Here's one for you then. Danny Dimes joined 2 other quarterbacks with 300 or more passing yards and 70 rushing yards in a postseason game.
Cam?
Yeah,
Kaepernick.
You are both wrong.
Cam Newton.
No.
I said Cam, that's what I said.
Yeah,
it's not Cam or Kaepernick. No. There are 2. One.
Vic.
No.
Steve Young.
Yes, 1995. Steve Young. One more.
What year?
2019.
Josh Allen?
No. I can't.
Mahomes.
No, come on.
Jackson.
Yes. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, but you're right. It's absolutely.
We weren't sure he was capable of throwing for 300 yards.
Yeah, that's the thing that stopped
He's for real.
But the fact that he was using his legs meant they didn't know how to defend him, and that's what he needs to do. He should be running.
He should get an agent. That's what he needs to do.
Here's my other favourite thing.
Own.
Set up by Paul saying about big men ramming themselves down his throat. Dexter Lawrence had 8 quarterback pressures, which is the most by an interior defensive lineman in any game since the stat was started to be recorded in 2016. and tied for second overall on that list is Leonard Williams, who had 7 in the game. They just stuffed him up the middle, which
didn't blitz.
I know, it's crazy. Look, it was a brilliant performance. Dable will get my vote for head coach of the season. I think he's been just amazing to turn this club around so quickly.
Can we talk about the terrible pass, roughing the passer call from the officials?
This is a season-wide problem. This isn't just this game.
Yeah,
remember that was a bad weekend for calls, wasn't it? Like there was a couple of really egregious ones.
A number of holding calls that weren't given. Like Paul called out in the game. Kevin Thibodeau was held so much during that game.
They don't ever call much holding if they can let them play in the playoffs.
Yeah, but sometimes it's so bad.
But that roughing Kirk Cousins,
holding does seem to be one that goes away in the playoffs.
It does. Yeah, I agree.
The roughing the passing call on Kirk Cousins, which gave them another chance. I think either 3rd or 4th down. It was just terrible. It was just a tackle. What was he meant to do? It's frustrating. I'm frustrated.
I could understand if he put all of his weight onto him.
But he didn't.
No, he purposely made an effort to not do that.
Yep. Yeah, okay. So Vikings eliminated. Now, the final NFC game. Cowboys 31, Bucks 14. Not many of us saw this coming. No. I don't know who at this table picked the Cowboys.
Not me.
I didn't. It wasn't based on talent. It was just based on gut feeling.
Yeah. We all just assumed Mike McCarthy would balls it up, basically.
Well, that went from his worst ever game last week to basically one of his best.
Yeah,
he was brilliant.
Because if they'd have kicked their field goals, this would have been
field goals weren't the problem. It was PATs. He's the first player ever to miss 4 PATs in a game.
Yeah. Didn't Peyton Manning ask if they could cut a player at half time?
Yes. Have you not seen the footage of him just walking away from his TV when he's
Dak
commentating?
Prescott going crazy, going, just go for 2. Just go for 2 every time because the guy's useless.
What about Brett Maher throwing his helmet on the side when Dak's been throwing picks all season?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, so here's the thing. Not only is he the first player to miss 4 consecutive, but he's also the first player to miss 5 because he missed his last one in the last game. So 4 in a game plus 5 in a row. And yet, he is the record holder for the most 60-plus yard field goals in NFL history. So what the fuck? There's been some talk about him. He will be their kicker next week. And if it is a close game, I think he'll be all right. He's just got the yips. He's been brilliant all season. Well,
he's decent all season.
Top 5 or 6 kicker.
Okay, he's had a bad game, but
this reminds me of the Mason Crosby game from a few years ago. And they stuck with him, and he's been fine ever since. And they should stick with, but, how many good kickers are out there not employed? Not many. There aren't, because we know we've seen teams cycle through like 5 kickers looking for someone, and they end up back with you, basically. So, go on. You're unemployed, are you?
No, it's cool. Not you.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Sorry.
But no, I think this game, I think we all went to that Brady playoff mode, didn't we? And the Cowboys are inconsistent at best. So, but they definitely got the more. I think the Cowboys have got more talent than the Bucks.
Oh yeah,
this
absolutely.
year. The Bucks have not shown. They finished with a losing record, didn't they?
Yeah.
8-9.
So they got what they deserved. We just expected Brady to annoy
Brady.
us.
To Brady.
Anyone want to tell me the Cowboys' last road playoff win?
It was 2012.
Oh, 1992.
It was
1992.
Yeah.
Last road playoff win. Yeah, that's
because they normally get sent to the Niners, like last year.
I know we just started
But
scoring.
it was also Brady's first red zone
Interception.
interceptions in years as well, wasn't it? Like 2014 or something ridiculous.
Stinky pass as well.
It's awful.
Terrible. Looked like he was trying to
Might
throw
be
it away,
2019, but it's
didn't.
at least 3 years or something. It's,
Yeah, no, it was a long
It
time.
looked like he was purposely throwing it to the cowboy.
Yeah, actually. Tampa Bay rushing game was just non-existent.
They couldn't get any pressure at all. Dak had all day to do whatever he liked.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Todd Bowles is a good defensive coordinator. He's not a good head coach. This has just been more proof. If Bruce Arians had been coaching this team this season, they'd have had a winning record and they'd have played this game differently.
it's Brady's fault, then, isn't it?
Well, however you want to look at that.
potentially. I mean,
he
did
certainly had a hand in it. But the question is, should your 45-year-old quarterback be throwing 66 passes
66 passes.
in a
Is that what it
game?
was?
Yeah.
66
Well,
passes.
he must have written that game plan himself.
Well, the point is they don't have a running game. And I said this to you guys before we sat down. If you stick Tom Brady on the Titans or the Raiders, as long as they keep Josh Jacobs, he wins hundreds of games because they've got a run game.
Maybe not hundreds of
They
games.
still,
He's
they,
pretty old.
they still. I don't think you put Brady in those and they win a Super Bowl. No, neither team are ready.
I think you put him on the Titans, he stands a good chance.
They need a wide receiver.
The only way he's
Winning
going to
the
Super
Super
Bowl
Bowl.
is in an
Bowl.
analyst
Yeah.
jacket.
Sorry?
The only way he's going to the Super Bowl is as an analyst for a TV show.
I don't know. His
I'm
stats
with
from
Griff
this
on this.
season, he's still a top 12 quarterback.
The last
He just
season,
doesn't have a
With
running game.
amazing wide receivers.
Yeah, you didn't have any of those at the Titans.
they
Yeah.
haven't been-
Who's he throwing to? Robert Woods, your top 15?
Yep. Robert
Hey,
Woods.
We agreed it was 17.
Bobby Trees will be back, baby. Come back player of the season.
But who's to say if you're the Titans, you pick up Tom Brady as a free agent, you go and get another free
He
agent
can't go
wide
on
receiver.
forever. Nothing goes on forever.
No.
No, that's true. And
His
I agree.
divorce showed us that.
And to be fair,
Well, he gave up Giselle for this pile of turd. Let's be honest.
It is.
That damn
Seriously,
sexy Todd Bowles.
he's hated every minute of this
are you
season.
suggesting the Bucks blow harder than Giselle?
I don't know. You'd have to ask a yoga trainer, wouldn't you?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to ask her.
I'll just tweet her.
Todd Bowles must be the most interesting guy on earth. If you'd wreck a marriage to Giselle to spend time with him.
It's not. It's about Byron Leftwich, who is leaving now anyway. He's on his way out the door. It just hasn't worked this season, and we all just assumed Brady would get
The
them. across the line.
defense hasn't been good
was
enough.
gonna say, on
the
the-
defense last year was amazing.
Yeah.
The defense took them all the way, to where they got to, and the Super Bowl year, it was all defense, wasn't
The
it?
Super
lot
Bowl
of it.
year, the
Yeah,
defense
yeah.
won that game from.
It was defense, and in the Super Bowl he had Gronk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're the, I mean, on the other side of it, if Brady does leave and you're the Bucks, what do you do?
Blow it up and start again. You've won your Super Bowl. You
Yeah.
blow it up and you start again.
Still a lot of good players on there. Though. If you put Derek Carr on this team, does it get any better or worse?
It's a bit worse.
It gets worse, yeah.
But if you can get the defense working again, you can make up for the lack of between Brady and Carr. But also, he's still in the NFC South, and none of the other teams are any good.
So
you're fine.
Here's a thought.
Eric Carr would have Ryan Jensen back. So he'd probably have a much
would
better
help.
season.
Here's a thought, stupid as it may be. But this team plays its best when they throw the long ball. Brady still throws a really good deep ball. And when he started connecting with Evans towards the end of the season, and when Goodwin got fit, and when Julio was fit, the deep ball game was really good. So that is what they need. Why don't they just, when Brady leaves, just go and get Jameis back? It'll cost you nothing. And he throws a good deep ball. It's the rest of his game is crap. But for 1 or 2 years while you're figuring out the rest of your team, Jameis is practically free.
The fan base would riot.
Probably.
But they've won their Super Bowl.
Isn't Arians still like a
He's
advisor?
Yeah.
Still there.
He's
still
upstairs.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Upstairs. So like, I'm sure if there was news that, by the way, we might bring Jameis back, he'd be like, yeah, no thanks, you fired me, and I'm going to bring this
gonna
piece of
stay
shit
fired.
into my team. Thank you. Go fuck yourselves, guys.
I understand, but they've got to do something. I don't think Brady's there next season. Does anyone think Brady's a Buccaneer next season?
No, definitely not. No.
So they've got to do something because
He could
Blaine
still
Gabbert,
go- he could-
Blaine Gabbert is not the answer to any
He
question.
could still go to Miami because
Yeah.
Tua may not be back at all.
They've named him a starter for next year already.
Yeah, but Tua might not want to come back
I think he'll come back.
till he gets knocked out in
I'm
week
not
2.
sure. I'm
And
not
then
as
he's not allowed to
confident
play
as you
again.
are. I said at the start of this potential endings of careers. One of them would be Brady, maybe. The other one is Julio.
Oh yeah.
Is Julio back? Do we see Julio play again?
Might get a
I'm
one-year
not
deal
suggesting
or
somebody won't offer it to him, but should he come back? Is this,
Decent in this game.
yes, and how many others this season?
I think
Three?
I think he's fitter now than he has been in
Yeah.
2.5 years. So I think he's probably got one more year, Julio.
AJ Green at the Cardinals was good, like free plays.
Yep.
Julio Jones has got a free plays deal somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. I just think maybe it's a case of, now you are actually fit. Don't wait until you are retired. Don't get retired. Just retire.
I think a contending team would take him just as a piece.
Maybe.
I know it's strange though because OBJ hasn't turned up anywhere, has he?
Not yet. He wanted too much money,
Still
didn't he?
injured.
he wanted a 2.5-year deal
Yeah.
When
which
he was
no one
injured.
wants-
when he was injured. Yeah,
No one
it
wants
was.
to give him.
Yeah,
And rightfully so.
Yeah, there is that. Right. That means that the...
so can I mention Maher? It
Yeah.
was the first time someone's missed 4 kicks in a game since
1932.
1932. How many kicks has he missed this year?
3.
3, and he's missed 4
Four
in
in
one
one
game.
game.
It's,
Yeah.
it's just an absolute
And
abomination.
The
of a-
talk of them getting rid of him is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He will
That's
be
just
fine.
typical Cowboys talk, isn't it?
It's not even that.
Yeah.
Teams
No,
are very
it's
quick
over
to
the
cut
top.
kickers.
Yeah.
And actually, you allow one. Dak was awful the week before. And to be fair to Dak, after he was caught reacting the way he did, he came out and said, I was shit the week before and no one binned me off. So we stick with Brett. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, but you get rid of Dak, it'll cost you
Didn't Jerry Jones
$40 million.
Jerry Jones was like tweeting in the game as
Oh,
well,
he
like,
was
asking
fuming.
people to like bring their boots down. To the
I assume only white people. Hey, Jerry Jones, man, that conversation has gone away and I'm not prepared to let that go. We didn't get an answer. What does he think?
You're never going to get an answer.
No, you're not. You want to talk about Deshaun Watson while we're talking about unsavoury people? No, probably not. Right, moving on to the AFC. Chargers 30, Jags 31. Game of the weekend, the most Chargers result of all time. I have never been happier to see a team win than I was in this game.
This is
I
just-
love Justin Herbert. I think he's brilliant. I love Austin Eckler. I think he's brilliant. Man, Trevor Lawrence came of age. It is the 3rd biggest comeback win in playoff history, behind the 92 Oilers.
And the Bills
And-
under Frank Reich.
No. Oh, yes, over the Bills, sorry. And the 2013-14 Colts when Andrew Luck led them
beat
back by
Kansas,
28.
yeah.
Yeah, over Kansas. So the 3rd biggest comeback win of all time.
I don't even know how this was possible. Like honestly, I've watched the highlights of this about 3 or 4 times so that I believe it. Because how can you throw 4 interceptions before you score a point and then win?
You know, there's
That's mad.
There's that conspiracy talk around the NFL being rigged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did discuss this on one podcast.
There's a guy who put $1.4 million on the Chargers winning when they were 27-0 up.
Would have won all of 11 grand.
Yeah.
But ended up losing $1.4 million. I'm quite happy about that.
Do we think that's actually true? Because you see these things quite
I
a bit.
don't know. If it is, then great. If it's not, then no, it's a good story, isn't it?
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know the he threw 3 first quarter interceptions, Trevor Lawrence? He had 0 first quarter interceptions his entire career, including college. Yeah,
but there's a very steep drop-off between guy who lost 1 game in high school and
Yeah.
college to losing every week for a season.
I think it shows how good a quarterback Trevor Lawrence is in a way that he can just, all right, that was shit, move on, and then just play absolutely lights out football for the best part of the half, well, all of the second half and a little bit of the first half. He was brilliant. Take away that first. Look, if the Chargers would have won this, the story would have been the Jags threw it away, not the Chargers won it.
Yeah, because the Chargers should have won it.
Chargers should
They're-
absolutely.
They're a
should
much
have
more
won it.
talented team.
Yeah, and it's
It's
a
a much more talented team with a 27-point lead. It's rich. It's literally mad.
It is mad.
How did the
Well,
the coaches get paid millions of dollars?
Right,
So
so there was-
how do you not win
yeah.
from that position?
There were two key things, which why one they didn't have Mike Williams, so you didn't get the best out of
who
Keenan
was
Allen.
injured playing in a pointless end
Yeah.
of season game.
And the second is the Chargers can't run the ball.
Yeah, that is the.
Eckler has had a great year. He's a great pass catching back.
What was his average in this game? It was something
2.7
Yeah,
yards.
something ridiculous,
So 13 carries, 35 yards. He didn't top 1,000 rushing yards.
They
this
never
year.
replaced Melvin Gordon, did they?
No,
With a
they
rusher,
haven't.
not with a
not with a rusher.
The good thing about Dallas and other teams, we talk about Dallas is like a typical example. You've got Zeke who could just run through bodies of people,
Tony Pollard. That
and you've
go
got
wide.
Tony Pollard that can go wide. Austin Eckler can go wide. He can't run through bodies of people.
No.
If they
He
add in
absolutely
a
can't.
Melvin Gordon when he was good back into this mix, suddenly you got a rushing game, and this team's much better.
They could do with a playoff CJ Anderson.
Super Bowl winning 1,000-yard
So
rushes.
if they
again.
would've signed
Better tight end would help as well.
Jared Everett was
Jared
the lead
Everett
receiver,
had the
100 and
best
something
game.
yards.
6 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown.
It's not that. It's the poor coaching. But Brandon Staley seems to have survived this.
calling.
They've sacked the offensive
Yeah.
coordinator today, Joe Lombardi.
Yeah.
Was he the play caller?
He was
I expect he was because Brandon Staley's a
Yeah.
defensive coach.
Yeah, but the defense was what let them
Defense is
down as well.
terrible as
The
well.
defense fell apart. They did nothing in the second half.
No.
They just couldn't do anything. How Brandon Staley is keeping a job after the 2 seasons we've just seen, I don't know.
don't get it.
With one of the most talent-rich rosters in the league.
Was Joey Bosa playing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
he
He had a
he
bad
was
game.
penalised quite heavily a
Yeah.
couple of times. Was it twice on the same play? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Once for
He lined up in the neutral zone.
yeah, he was in the neutral zone, which he
Actually, I think that cost them because they were at third down at that point.
Yeah.
And it turned it automatically.
But then he threw his helmet on the floor in disgust, picked it up and threw it back down on the floor and got a penalty for that as well. And he just lost his head because the team were falling apart around him.
I mean, I missed the highlight of the hat going up.
His interview
Damn it.
afterwards was brilliant. He dropped out 3 or 4 F-bombs.
He basically
and
said,
just
if I say
slagged
what I
off
want
the
to say, I'll
officials.
get fined 40 grand and then started slagging off the officials because he gets paid a load of money.
So yeah, he's another one that was complaining about being held the whole day.
Yeah, and he was,
Yeah.
to be fair. He was being held and they didn't do anything about it. So you can sort of see where he was coming from. One other quarterback has thrown 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in a playoff game. One. Anyone want to have a guess? This quarterback did not win their
Matt
playoff game.
Ryan.
No.
Bortles.
No.
like a
Fucking
roast ball thing to
Bortles. He didn't throw 4
Do you want to give us a year?
touchdowns.
Luck?
2020.
2020. Oh.
Flacco.
No.
Romo.
Oh, was
when it says
Alan's,
2020.
was it Alan's meltdown game?
He has had a mention tonight already.
Lamar.
Nope.
Dakota Prescott.
Oh my word, no. This is hardcore. John, I believe, mentioned him a few minutes ago. Da 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 da
Brett Maher?
da 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 boo Roethlisberger
Oh,
against the
Roethlisberger.
Browns in 2020.
He does throw.
He had a
interceptions.
terrible game. He was literally a thumb.
Nobody can have done it after throwing 4 interceptions first, though. I don't think any player could
probably
have
right, yeah.
won a
Well, no,
game,
no.
Won a playoff game after
Their
throwing
first
4
their
interceptions.
their
without
first
scoring a
7
point.
possessions in the first half were 4 interceptions, 3 punts.
That's mad.
And then they won the game.
How do you not burn enough clock? I don't understand how you don't.
Just can't run it.
Yeah,
Like they
that's
ran it
Take all
23
the
times.
slants and just like
I'm just going to say, for a British fan, going to bed and thinking 27-0, well, that's that one done.
But there was some bad timeout calling across the whole weekend.
We're gonna get into
People
that.
were panicked everywhere. And I'm going to talk about probably in the Bills game
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that was
absolutely.
terrible. But it wasn't just that game.
I did stay up to watch this game, but then fell asleep before the winning field goal. I could not stay up any longer. I was like, oh, I'm so tired.
I turned off after the 4th interception.
See, I thought about it, but then I didn't. I left it on, and yeah, I almost got to the end.
As well, can we also mention, in Chargers Stiley, they did miss a field goal.
Of course.
So, of course,
It was a complete all-round chargering. It was just...
yeah.
They are the most snake-bitten franchise of all time. They're right up there, the head of the Jets. They're just, like...
I think it's worse because at least for like teams like the Jets, the Browns of past years, the Lions, they've had shit teams and we've known they're shit. The Chargers have got talent. And like, say what you want about Phillip Rivers, he was a talented quarterback. in terms.
I was about to say, is the ghost of Philip Rivers just like haunting like the whole
maybe it's not
the whole
Phillip Rivers.
facility
Maybe
with
it's just,
like a
maybe it's
clutch
just that
handbag?
It
like,
might be that uniform. It's
just throwing clutch handbags out the
tainted.
window.
Because, like, you know, like when Harry Redknapp leaves a team, they always they go bankrupt and they go down. Like
Harry gets raided by the police.
Yeah, Rivers left the Chargers and they basically have been luckless ever since. And he's left the Colts, who are now the worst team in the NFL.
So
Colts were luckless
you're
before
saying
he got
the most virile man in the NFL leaves teams impotent.
Yes. I'm saying,
Draining them of their life force.
when he left them, they were like average. Now they are the worst team in the NFL. Literally,
It may be then that
I
Philip
think-
Rivers was better than we thought.
I think so.
I've said it all along.
I'm saying he leaves a trail of destruction behind him.
I don't think the lack of clutchness was on Rivers.
The lack of clutchness. Right. Okay. Moving on. So here's the game that I thought was going to be the biggest blowout of the weekend. And boy, I was wrong. Dolphins 31, Bills 34. Man, Skylar Thompson, it wasn't amazing, but he had some great throws and he actually kept them in the game.
A lot of it was not on him. They couldn't catch.
No, they could not. Jalen Waddle dropped a couple of
Yeah, and
sitters.
Tyreek.
Yeah,
One of them hit him in the head.
yeah, and one of them went through Waddle's arm.
Yeah, oh, hit him in the chest.
Yeah,
man. Like,
and there was talk. I heard somebody say while we were watching this game, why isn't Teddy in this game late on to throw some? The answer is because Skylar Thompson can throw that ball. That is a rocket he's got. It's just not that accurate. But those receivers should be able to catch up and catch that ball. And they let the team down. I thought he played well enough.
Tyreek made one very good play when he overthrew it and he turned into a cornerback and just ripped
it
took
out of the
guy
player's
apart.
arms.
Yeah.
He does that quite a lot. Yeah,
I think Raheem Mostert was a big miss for them as
Huge.
well.
Of course, yeah.
They had in total, the Dolphins had 20 carries of 42 yards. They just couldn't run the ball.
I do worry about the pressure on the Bills though, because Josh Allen does not look like normal Josh Allen in the playoffs. I think there's so much hype over the Bills. I think they've had all this other stuff as well, but you know, I also just think they are so pressurised. Because it's almost got to the point now where if they don't win the Super Bowl, it's a failure of a season.
Well, yeah, it is. But
every year,
here's the thing with Josh Allen, and maybe I can be wrong, but feel free. So does Josh Allen not just remind you of Brett Favre now? Like he's just going to throw the ball. He's going to throw the ball, and it'll either get there or it'll get picked off. It was 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was ready to run anything. Like he's proper gunslinger, and there aren't many left.
Too many interceptions in the postseason. Definitely, that is a problem. It is a problem in these kind of games because they tighten up, don't they?
Yeah, I don't think they have too many games. You know, we say that the Vikings are winning most of their one-score games. The Bills don't. Like, this has been for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
If the Bills get into a lead, you're fucked. You're not coming back. If you can stay with the Bills, you're in with a really good shout. And look, this Dolphins team is, you know, with Skylar Thompson leading it with no running game, the Bills should have wiped the floor with them. Right? And in Buffalo as well. Come on.
Do you feel the Bills run out of steam when they get to the playoffs?
I don't know.
I think, like Gary says, there's a lot of pressure. A team has been told you should really be winning. You know, last year I
think there's a lot on Josh Allen.
They really should have been.
That's the thing. There's a lot on Josh Allen because the run game, although it's a bit better, you know, James Cooks has started to perform towards the end of the season, but it's still not good enough, the run game around him. So it's a bit like when Russell Wilson was at the Seahawks in his prime and he was doing, you know, 80% of all offensive yards or whatever came through Russell Wilson. It's not quite as bad as that through Josh Allen, but it feels like that. It feels like if Josh Allen does not turn up and deliver it, then it doesn't get done. And everything about that franchise is all about Josh Allen. That's what it feels like. That's the issue. That's a lot of pressure.
Gabe Davis, 6 receiving touchdowns in the last 3 playoff games he's played in. Only one player has more than 6 in any 3 playoff game stretch of their career. You want to take a guess? Very famous.
Jerry Rice.
No, did not play this season, but was playing up until last season.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Yes, 7 touchdowns in 3 game streak.
Kurt Schwarmer.
With Kurt Schwarmer, absolutely. Cole Beasley was back, everyone. Scored a touchdown. We listened to some rap of his that was terrible.
We listened to it for too long.
They also have John Brown, which we didn't mention the week before. He was back. He was, you know, streaking along. But Davis and Stephon Diggs had about the same. There was 114, 113 on 15 catches between them or something. Like,
It's right there.
so it is. 15, yeah, no, 13. So they, like the offensive weapons that the Bills have got mean they should beat virtually everybody. They should be
Dawson
comfortable.
Knox has been awesome at the end
Yeah,
of the season.
Dawson Knox 5 touchdowns in
Top
5
five
consecutive
tight end now,
games.
I'd say.
Yeah, I think you're right. But like many teams, they lack a consistent run game. Devin Singletary isn't good enough. He isn't good enough. I think James Cook has a lot of potential, but they don't use him enough.
But this is like a scheme issue for me because this isn't the personnel. They've had runners there, but they don't use running. They don't seem willing to rely on it, and that's been a problem pretty much since T-Mobile left.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good shout.
It's always been a problem with the Bills. We've said it the last 2 pre-seasons where we said one thing they need to fix is the running game. Oh, they've drafted a running back again. So
It's when Shady got old.
Yeah, I was going to say their last decent running back was LaShawn
But when
McCoy.
LaShawn McCoy was there, nothing else was there.
Yeah.
It was just LaShawn McCoy. We used to talk about how his career had been ruined by
Frank
playing
Gore
for the
for you,
Bills.
did they have Frank Gore for you?
They did. and he
Everyone's
was
had him for a
rubbish.
year, haven't they?
Yeah, Frank Gore was like a. I can't even think of the right word.
Skylar Thompson leading his team to 31 points is the second most points by a postseason rookie ever. Want to guess who the leader is?
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, absolutely. Brock Purdy. So we have just seen Mr. Irrelevant and the man taken just before Mr. Irrelevant put up the most points.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
And we've watched Tom Brady and Spurgeon win.
Spurgeon the surgeon. Awesome. Well done. Good memory. Was he the man taken directly before?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I know he was one of the Brady 6. Look, Skylar Thompson's probably bought himself another year as a backup to the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine. Nobody really expected them to do anything. There's something lacking in this team, and I think Gary is right. If Tua is the starter next season, I can't see that they're going to be any better if they get Brady or someone else in.
To be fair, when Tua was fit, they were playing really well.
When Tua was before the first injury. Yeah,
that's when they had
absolutely.
their streak of good results.
And this game, we saw some absolutely god-awful coaching around timeouts and game management.
Yeah, no, that's
Mike
a good
McDaniels
point.
could not get a
They
play
lost
in.
all 3 of their timeouts, didn't they?
Just by trying to
delay
delay games.
game.
And
Yeah.
they still got done for
know,
loads
but
as
They
well.
got done a delay of game off a timeout.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
There was another one where they were 4th and 1.
They went back to 4th and 6th.
And it went back to 4th and 6th. I think that at that point, Mike McDaniel thought it was first down or something.
You could see there were people leaving the
Yeah.
leaving the field with 7 seconds to go.
It was ridiculous.
That's
They were still in the huddle with like
Yeah.
5 seconds. And you're like,
No,
this is not going to work.
Absolutely
Really
criminal.
bad.
It was
Really
bad. He's had a lot of praise, but Mike McDaniel needs to learn from this if they're to move on. But
And Sean McDermott pulled a couple of terrible timeouts as well, where actually I know there was one that he was worried they were not set, but
Yeah.
the play was like I think they intercepted
yeah,
it or
it was-
something.
Yeah, they
and
intercepted
then
it,
there
yeah.
was another one where Miami weren't going to get the snap off, and he called he called a timeout. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like I think his head was going a little bit because there was so much chaos going on from Miami. A little bit as well.
I agree. I think it was a difficult one for him to call.
Yeah, timeouts in the last 2 minutes of either half are absolute gold dust, especially in the playoffs. You can't be spending all your timeouts before those last 2 minutes. It's just that's criminal
You've
coaching.
got 2 left at least.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the Bills do march on eventually. Ravens 17, Bengals 24. A closer game than I thought it was going to be. Again, I didn't think the Ravens stood much of a chance. Now, J.K. Dobbins has come out and said, "Look, I didn't get a carry on the goal line. We needed 1 yard for a touchdown."
Yeah.
If you didn't see the play, the call was the quarterback leap from Tyler Huntley. He leapt. The ball was punched out of his hands, recovered by Sam Hubbard, who ran it back for a 98-yard touchdown return, and that ultimately was the winning score. This is not on Tyler Huntley. This is on poor coaching, bad play calling. Why is J.K. Dobbins not there running that in?
He had a good game as well.
Exactly. How is that happening?
I read a thing about
Firstly, I didn't know you could
quarterback
read.
sneaks,
Yeah.
because basically the Eagles have they are successful now on 92% of their quarterback
Brady
sneaks.
was always amazingly successful.
Yeah. And the Eagles are now the best quarterback sneak team. Well, since last year's Eagles. Before that, it was the Super Bowl winning Eagles and Brady.
Brady's always been amazing.
Yeah.
And what the thing is, you watch the Eagles when they're doing it, you never jump. Like, it looks great, but as soon as you go like that, someone can just punch it out.
Yeah.
What you want is a bloke
burrowing yourself.
burrow
into-
in.
yeah.
If you've got J.K. Dobbins, even if Tyler Huntley, just Burrow in and push him
Well,
in.
normally they just put a fullback behind, don't they?
Yeah,
and shove
push him in. It's legal. It is
Yeah,
fine
yeah.
as long as you don't drag him
can't
in.
drag
Are you
someone.
laughing at a man burrowing in? Is that what you're?
But yeah,
Just Burrow in. It's legal.
It might not feel great, but it's legal.
it was also third down,
Might get you some free chicken.
was.
But
so he didn't need to jump. He could have just stayed, stood upright and got a yard. It's then 4th and a half.
But do you believe Tyler Huntley went off script, or was this what it was called?
It might have been what it's called. I
think it's his coaching.
Yeah.
of course, he wouldn't have called that.
But
No, I don't think so.
you can say it's coaching. This is a shit Ravens team.
Tyler Huntley gets the call.
Got within
Ravens
the
team.
within a score of the
Shit, Ravens
Bengals.
was on one side of the ball.
Yeah.
I like the idea that Tyler Huntley got the call in his helmet. Went, "No, I'm going to Superman."
I'm camming it all the way.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I just think he's taken some flack, and it's not on him.
It's not- I don't think it's all on
J.K.
him.
Dobbins should have been on the pitch, and you run the 2 times to get in.
Yeah.
But luckily, they've got 7 opportunities to draft an offense.
Can I bring something off that's a bit left field that annoyed me
That,
a bit this
that
weekend?
wouldn't be like you.
No, well, no, it's relevant, but a little bit left
That
field.
would be like you. Go on.
It annoyed me this week how many divisional games there were.
Same.
Yeah, but
I think it cheapens the playoffs.
I agree with you.
Either, why don't you just go to 8 teams and have two teams on the bye? Because, like,
can't see it. Griffith's got his head in his hands
Fuck
now because
me.
he's so upset about it going to
8
7
teams. You might as well let every fucker in.
Well,
Just seed it all.
well, there's too many divisional games. Too many divisional games.
We
Half
watched-
the games are
it's just-
divisional
yeah,
We
games.
watched
fair.
this game last week.
It was just a fluke of the seeding.
It's just the way it's gone. It's not always like this.
I know, but last few years, it does feel like there's. I don't know.
I don't know.
It just
It
feels.
annoys me.
Instead of going to 8, go back to 6.
Yeah, well, fine.
Because it should never have been 7 in the first place. It just waters it down.
But
To be fair
my
to-
point is, I didn't like it. I know, probably not relevant right now, but just.
I
like
don't
the
really
fact-
know
no,
this.
no,
We're
no,
talking
no,
about another
yeah.
divisional game, and it's like I'm not that excited by it.
That's a fair point.
This one
I like
wasn't
the,
that
I like the
exciting.
addition of the 7th team because it increases how relevant the season is for a lot of teams. Like going into week 17 or week 18,
There was a lot to play
there's a
for.
lot to play for. But to Griff's point, we've not had a 7th seed win a game yet.
No.
Like,
In
they're
the
0
2
they're
years.
now 0-6. So
So this was my favourite thing about this game. Joe Burrow's 4th playoff win in 3 seasons as a Bengals quarterback. How many playoff wins did they have in their previous 52 seasons as a franchise?
4,
No, but close.
5.
5.
Yeah.
5 playoff wins in
They got to
52
playoff
seasons.
one year, didn't
They got to the Super Bowl, yeah, with
lost to the 49ers.
Boomer Esiason.
yeah.
And that's it. Like, fuck all else. I've only got 5 less than them until Joe Burrow got there. Like, that's madness.
Well, I saw a stat this week that the Cowboys now have one more playoff win than Brady ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like 36 to 35.
The
something like that.
Bengals, like the Niners, it feels like it's coming right at the right time of the year, no? Like,
Same as last year. Very much the same as last year.
No.
no?
Yeah, no.
I was. If the season finished 2 weeks ago, I'd say the Bengals, or 3 weeks ago.
Still worried about O-line.
I'm still worried. Like Lael Collins and
Kappa.
Kappa.
No, it's Kappa.
I think they're huge.
Men.
Yes.
They are huge men, and it's a huge loss for Burrow. And I know he did it last year, but I just think he needs more protection, and it's just the wrong time to lose half his right side of his O line. And I think Chris Jones for next week must be licking his lips.
Oh, I'd have thought so. Right, we will take a break there. Join us in the second half when we preview the upcoming fixtures. And so, this week's divisional games. Starting with Jags versus Chiefs. I know everyone's going to pick the Chiefs. You're probably right to do so, but I think this might be a closer game than you might imagine. Anyone want to disagree with that?
I think the Chiefs are going to destroy them. Absolutely destroy
I don't
them.
think it'll be a
We're going to get Andy Reid coming off a bye, blah, blah, blah.
There is that, but the Jags defense, although it gave... No, I'm not going to put the 27 points it gave up on the Jags defense because they were put in a horrible
wasn't
position.
on them at all.
No, it wasn't. And they played pretty well throughout the game. Like, there's no reason why the Jags defense can't get to Patrick Mahomes, at least disturb him a little bit. But yeah, I think the Chiefs will win.
A rested walrus is a happy walrus.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Disturbing Patrick Mahomes.
Chiefs will win by 10. It won't be as close
I
as
don't
a
think
score.
so.
I don't think it'll be within a score.
I think it'll be within a touchdown.
I don't.
I just think, what team can be higher right now than the Jags?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs in terms of talent,
Where's Josh Gordon?
results.
Restedness.
He was on the Chiefs, wasn't he?
Based on what's written in your hand, you.
Well, yeah. I still don't know what that's for. I'm just saying, I think the Jags, with Pedersen in charge, this is the best position they have been in for so long. Like 2017, they
Josh Gordon's in the XFL.
excellent stuff. 2017, when they made the playoffs with Bortles, they had a worse quarterback than they have now and a worse coach than they have now.
Yes, but they had a much better defense.
They had a much better defense, but I
And a running
still
game.
think this team, Travis Etienne is a running game.
Is good.
Yeah.
I think this team is better
Because the
because
Saxonville team.
yeah,
Oh,
because I think coaching makes a difference.
I
That Saxonville team should have done better than they did, and coaching
Yeah,
made a
and
difference. They
they
were
They
wrong.
made it to the championship game.
they lost to a very good New England team.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Jacksonville went to the Champions game and lost to the Patriots. Like,
Yeah,
come
I get
on.
it. But
Jacksonville are
this
going to
team,
Kansas.
That was
They're
a
gonna
very
do
fashionable thing to do.
With Bortles,
And playoff Lenny.
and playoff Lenny. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if this Jags team overturns the Chiefs. I'm not saying it's definitely happening. I'm just
Oh,
saying
I
the
think
Chiefs,
would
the
be.
Chiefs do lose to the odd bad team. It does happen, but not off a bye.
they don't have a regularly brilliant running game.
They've got the Chiefs have got a better running game than people give them credit.
Yes, they do, but it's not regularly brilliant.
No, but
It's going to be on Mahomes, and I don't know. I just got a feeling. So sticking with it. It'll be close.
If anyone could, if anyone could take that pressure, it's Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like it's so unremarkable that he got 5,000 yards this
Yeah.
year, and like no one's really mentioned it because
it's Mahomes.
it's Mahomes. You know, if any other quarterback had done it, they'd be like, "Oh my god, this guy's MVP." And Mahomes probably will be MVP, but he's just brilliant, and
Yeah.
I think they'll have enough. It might. I kind of agree with Gary. I think it might be 10 points, but I think it might be like a late score to get that gap.
Yeah.
Just because I just don't.
I don't think they'll blow them away, but I think they'll be comfortable.
Yeah, I also think the pass rush for the Chiefs is better than what the Chargers did on Sunday.
No, I disagree. They're going to shag them. The
You reckon?
Chiefs are going to absolutely
No.
shag them.
You don't get shagging in a divisional game.
I mean, some of us would like to see a good shagging, but I don't think this
Just
is
watch
how.
the football on BBC.
Wow. So I gather. Doug Pedersen's already come out and said, win or lose this weekend, this season's been an absolute success.
Of course,
and you
yeah.
cannot disagree
No,
with that.
100%,
If Brian Daboll is number one, Doug Pedersen is number
No,
two.
I think it's between those two.
Absolutely. What an incredible performance. Kevin O'Connell would have been up there if they hadn't have flunked out at the first hurdle, because that's also a good job. But these two coaches, Daboll and Pedersen, have turned around bad franchises in 1 year. And that's impressive. Trevor Lawrence is finally showing us that he is like Andrew Luck. That is what he was compared to, and I believe that is the ceiling, is Andrew Luck. Peak Andrew Luck, not injury-ridden Andrew Luck. And if that's the case, then you cannot say Jaguars aren't favourite to win the division again next season as it stands. Like, it's a decent team.
I mean, based on how it stands in the AFC South, with the Colts just being in
Colts and
disarray,
Texans, just terrible.
Texans being not much better, and the
Titans,
Titans, we don't know what's going to happen there at
quarterback,
or anywhere else for that matter. Like,
Comfortable favourites.
comfortable favourites at the moment.
They've made Jacksonville an attractive destination for free agents, and people might want to be traded there.
They get Calvin Ridley next year if he comes back.
Yeah, they've got Calvin Ridley. Chris Kirk's done well,
Yeah.
isn't he, in the end?
Ingram's turned into
I
a
know,
wide
I
receiver.
was
They've
about to
got- they've
say.
got Calvin
Zay
Ridley.
Even Zay Jones has been good.
And
yeah.
Yeah,
Marvin
they traded
Jones.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, they've got Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, for like nothing.
next year.
For like nothing.
Yeah.
He's just had like 14
I mean, it's a
games
bit of a
off or
gamble, but
Yeah.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
But yeah, I mean,
Don't tell my job.
they've got all their draft picks still, so
loads of cap space.
there's a cap space.
It's a really good team, but as opposed to previewing how they'll be next season, find me a way they win this game. Tell me
Injure Mahomes.
how they win this game.
I just told you.
Just pick a way.
Injure Mahomes.
I think they play very good offense and they do well on defense.
Brilliant.
I think they have to have an outstanding performance on defense.
Chiefs lose it.
Yeah,
Like that's what happened last year against the Bengals.
Yeah.
That like they went in 2 scores up at half time
They did.
and then didn't move the ball at all in the second half.
I just think they'll learn from that. I think they'll learn from that overconfidence they had against the Bengals. But for Jacksonville to win, Kansas have to come out cold because they've had a week off. I don't think they will, but and the defense just has to make absolutely no mistakes. And Trevor Lawrence could probably do a not throwing 4 picks.
Yeah, if he throws 4 picks, it's over. But if he goes toe to toe with Mahomes, I think
That's a big if.
it's a big if. But in there somewhere is the potential for him to be one of the few that can.
Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be watching this game supporting Jacksonville. I'd love to see them win.
It's a rarity for us to
I know.
support Jacksonville, but so far so good.
I will not be. I'm not because I'm a Jacksonville hater like John or whatever, but I hate hearing Jaguars as much as most people.
We all hate that.
But I think it's time for us to start seeing this next generation of quarterbacks coming through and being as good as we believe they can be. And I would, if the Niners don't win it, then Mahomes is so good he should start to win multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah,
Absolutely
agreed.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I'd be more than happy to see Mahomes do it.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know, I just got a feeling. I'm sick, and this is my feeling game. Right. Bengals, Bills. Now, you've already said the Bengals got not enough of an O-line. Is it a problem against
This game's going to be so emotional. That's going to be the problem for everyone involved.
It's going to be a bigger problem for Buffalo, I think. I think Bengals are, because it wasn't their teammate.
I don't know, T. Higgins pretty cut up, wasn't he?
Oh, I know. I get that. But, I mean, I just think it's harder for Buffalo than it is for Bengals. I think the Bengals can not move on, but certainly... I also think the Bengals have got a bit of a grudge against them because, remember, they didn't get to play this game. And if they would have played this game and if they would have won, this would have been in Cincinnati.
There's one thing with the Bengals which I think people overlook, which is there's a lot of teams. We've spoken about the Browns, we've spoken about the Lions, and these teams that are kind of mired in failure. A lot of the pieces of this Bengals team that have come in are really only used to winning.
That's very true.
They've come in and got to a Super Bowl. They've come in and comfortably got to the playoffs. They haven't really struggled.
Joe Mixon does need to turn up, though.
Oh, I agree with you.
The talent is there. It's definitely there.
So inconsistent.
There's one thing that I think does very well for this, which is just I don't think they're a team that do nerves. I don't think they're a team that worry because they're used to winning.
Yeah,
But I think it would help Joe Burrows if he felt confident to hand the ball off more and not get hit as much.
Yeah, obviously.
Because he just gets hit all the time.
I don't think that stops him. I don't think they don't not go to Joe Mixon because he's bad. I think they still go to him enough for opposing defenses to have to respect the running game. I also I don't think the Buffalo pass rush is. I mean, obviously it's not as good since Von Miller went off injured, but I don't think it's good enough at all at the moment.
And
I don't
they
think
cannot exploit the line.
Yeah, agreed. Like the Bengals have an issue in the fact the right side of their line is pretty much all injured, but it's not like there's no one there. There are players there who are competent, and I think the Bills struggled to get to the opposing quarterback, and I think even with all the pressure on Burrow, still plays phenomenally well. So if you give him a little bit more time, and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Trenton Irwin and whoever else they got a tight end catching balls, he can carve up a defense.
I think this is going to be possibly the closest game of the weekend.
I've gone
It's
Bengals.
the hardest one to pick.
I went Bengals on my predictor before the playoffs, and I'm still going Bengals.
I am going with Gary. I think, and we shouldn't agree so much, but I think the Bengals do
You
this.
two have been agreeing the whole season.
Yeah.
It's been a running thing.
I'm taking the Big Cats final in the AFC, Jags and Bengals.
I reckon the Bills,
Yeah.
and I think they go all the way to the Super Bowl.
I had it Chief Bengals as the championship game for the AFC in my predictor.
I had the same.
Jim?
I can't sit on the fence because it's a playoff game. I'm going to go with the Bills.
Yeah, no, Bills and Chiefs for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, I can see why the Chiefs and the Bills are such favourites. It just this season's been an odd season. There's been comebacks. There's been teams winning out of nowhere when they've lost like 11 in a row. Like, it just feels like.
I think with Mahomes though this year, like he's made his brother shut up. He's made his wife shut up. Like he just seems like
Focused.
I don't want none of this noise. I am Patrick Mahomes, and I'm going to show the world I'm Patrick Mahomes. And I've got this feeling that the Chiefs might win it, and I think they will. I think they will beat them comfortably, the Jags.
So they just don't seem to have any weaknesses. And like even with our sweetest player of the week, we put the poll on. How many Chiefs plays were in there?
1.
Yeah, they're just so unremarkably brilliant.
I think,
but each week, actually, you probably could have picked a Mahomes one, but we don't.
Yeah, we
but
don't.
We had one in the second week, and we didn't want to have the same sort of thing every week.
But you expect him to be brilliant.
But the thing that you can say about the Chiefs is they haven't missed Tyreek Hill.
No,
For any team not to miss
I think
him,
they've got better.
he's crazy.
They've got harder to defend because.
Well, now you don't know who the key
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
No, exactly. Okay, moving to the NFC then, and at least at this table,
It's another divisional game.
game of the week. It is another divisional game, but game
Yeah,
of
but
the
only
week:
because it's the best division in football.
Giants at Eagles.
Don't look at me like that. 3 of the 4 teams are from the NFC East.
Giants at Eagles. It is the best division in football statistically.
It ends here. I was just happy. I'm just happy we got there. I said we were watching the Vikings game, and I said at the beginning, I'm just happy we're here. This Eagles team is far better than us. The Vikings team, anybody would be happy throwing against Patrick Peterson, right?
Yeah.
This is a scary defense. The Eagles could quite happily get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I will say about the Eagles, and I think the bye will actually avoid this. They weren't great at the end of the year. They weren't playing, and I know
Minshew Mania fell on its face.
Fell on its face. Even when Jalen Hurts came back for that last game, I'm not sure if he was fully fit or not. But he
I
wasn't
don't think
great.
he was fit.
So-
He's bad. His shoulder. It's a bad
And
injury.
I only think they brought him back to make sure they won, to make sure they had a bye, so they could give them the whole team a week off. Now, if they come back and they're not the same, they're the same team as they were to end the season, the Giants are in a real shout. But if they're the team that started the season because they've had a rest, yeah, Eagles all the way.
I really wanted to pick the Giants in this game.
I do as well.
I really do. I've made no secret of it either. I don't like the Eagles. I don't like the Eagles fans. I've never had a good experience with them at any of the games we've been to, and I don't particularly want to see them win.
Do you know what? It also kills me how good Jalen Hurts is this year.
I mean, that
it'd
is
be really
a highlight
nice
for me.
Yeah, it would be really nice for the Eagles.
But
to fuck
also,
off.
it was wonderful sitting watching the Giants with the Pharaohs
Yeah.
and watching them for the first time in 6 years actually be happy to watch a playoff game. And I'd really like to keep that up. And I believe it can be close. I do believe the defensive pressure that the Eagles will put on Daniel Jones might be a step too far.
Yeah.
I cannot see past the Eagles whether Hurts is fully fit or not. But they do have a chance. If Hurts is not fully fit and Daniel Jones turns on his Hurts-alike ability, then you do have a chance because the defenses are not that far apart.
I'm going Eagles purely for the fact that if the Niners win their game, I don't want to have to sit with the Pharaohs for a Niners-Giants game. It'll just be too stressful for all of us. So that's the only reason. I know you'd rather the Niners lost, but obviously I'm going to choose that option.
I am going with the Eagles, and it kills me because watching the game on Sunday was so fucking exciting. And normally I'm watching playoff football, and I forgot that it's really good. I forgot that it's fun. And when Kurt threw that 3-yard pass to
We didn't
Hawkinson,
mention that, did we?
I know, yeah. Just
It's baffed.
arcing jizz all everywhere. Literally, most excited I've been in years. No, it was incredible.
Clean up on aisle one.
I think we'll put up a brave fight, but I do think the Eagles are just sort of better everywhere. Like our defense is good.
Yeah.
We're better at running back only.
Well,
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley is better. I think they have a better running scheme.
How many rushing yards did Daniel Jones finish behind Jalen Hurts this season?
200?
No, less than that. About
figure that's
43.
No, close though. 52. He was 52 yards behind him, not far. Now, Jalen Hurts scored 13 touchdowns. Jones only scored 7. But actually, the stats are fairly close. Saquon Barkley, 1,312 yards and 10 touchdowns. Miles Sanders led the Eagles, 1,269 and 11. Like, the run games are virtually identical.
They've got Boston Scott as well, haven't they?
Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, but but you say
Doesn't
that they all knock in
I'm
300
not
yards.
knocking it, but I'm saying the peak end of the rush games are very similar. The Eagles' defense marginally better, but only marginally.
The rush star rushers, as in quarterback and Saquon. You know, Jones is very close. Barkley's better than Sanders, but this, I think, statistically, this Eagles offense is the best run offense in the league ever.
Yeah.
Behind the Eagles team from last year. Like, I think in terms of some various statistics, they are the best ever. You know, you could argue that the Niners probably at the moment are better on rushing anyway.
It doesn't help that the Eagles' 2 lead wide receivers, Brown and Smith, combined for nearly 1,700 yards between them. 2,700 yards between them, and 18 touchdowns. And your 2 leading wide receivers combined for about 1,200 yards between them and 6 touchdowns.
That's the biggest gap, isn't it? I think John said, like, across both teams, there's marginal differences, mainly in favour of the Eagles' part running back. But when it comes to wide receiver,
the star power at wide receiver makes a massive difference.
Yeah. So AJ Brown, that trade just looks better and better.
Yeah.
How much does that help Devonta Smith as well?
Crazy.
He struggled the first year, and now he looks brilliant.
He does. Right, turning to the other end of the table that I'm sitting at, because I don't have a dog in this race. Cowboys at Niners. Now, a bit like Bengals Bills in the AFC, this is the clash that everyone's looking at in the NFC and thinking difficult to choose, because if the Cowboys play like they just played, you get a good game. If they play like they played the week before.
So we think they're going to win 1 road playoff game in 30 years and then win 2 in 2 weeks?
No, I'm not. I'm picking the Niners. I'm picking the Niners. But
straight out.
Yeah, I am picking the Niners. Absolutely. I think your defense is too good. I think Brock Purdy is on a Tom Brady-esque roll. And I just don't... You look at the coaches, it's such some small differences between the teams. You look at the coaches, and I would take Kyle Shanahan all day, every day, over Mick McCarthy.
Who's won a Super Bowl?
Bastard.
Just for he's not a bad coach.
No, he's not, but...
He does silly things, but he's not bad.
This game could be the making of Brock Purdy, because he has not yet faced a defence like this.
Agree.
And, the defence hasn't been great in the last few weeks for the Cowboys. But if peak Micah Parsons turns up, like, Van Der Esch, Trayvon Diggs, like they are huge playmakers. We could see Brock Purdy, start to have a struggle. I still think the Niners win.
I think that nothing good lasts forever, and the Cowboys win.
Taking the Cowboys?
I think the Cowboys will win.
No.
I thought we were going to be playing the Bucks. I'm really disappointed. Because I think that Dak gets a lot of interceptions, but we still are vulnerable against, in the secondary still a little bit, and against the deep ball, and it worries me a little bit. And
I agree. I do agree with you there.
So I've just got him to just sneak it. Like, if it gets close, Brock Purdy's not been put under loads of pressure. Yes, he's played a playoff game, but you can't sit here with a guy who's played 6 games and say we're definitely beating the Cowboys. So it's all good things come to an end.
I'm not saying you're definitely winning.
But
I'd hand it to you.
That would be my one risk.
Because I've only seen Dak play really good, maybe 2 or 3 games this season.
If he does.
And the week before this that we've just watched, he was terrible. And if you force him into turnovers and things like that...
That's the thing that worries me is I forgot their name, Washington defense. Like, their defensive line, especially in the season, was scary. And they absolutely messed with Dak Prescott's mind. And he was shit. And, Armstead, Bosa, like they can create more pressure than the commies ever did, and
The Reds.
like I don't think this game is. I think this game is won by the defense, and I think the 49ers have the better defense.
Marginal. Jim?
Dallas Cowboys ranked in the second half. Their defense was in the bottom half of running yards per game. You can run against the Dallas Cowboys defense. The passing defense is better. I think opposite Trayvon Diggs, you can target that cornerback. I just think the 49ers are just too physical for the Cowboys. And I think Jeff Reinbold summed it up on his punditry at the weekend.
Should we be listening to Jeff?
Yeah, no, but he makes the odd clever point once every so often. The 49ers are a violent team.
Yeah.
Not just on offense, but on defense as well. They just go out hunting. I don't think the Cowboys can match that physicality that the 49ers
Who's
have.
Jeff coaching for these days?
Some Canadian backwater.
Ottawa Red Blacks.
Yeah,
The Rough Riders.
yeah.
You just picking one you know.
And like I said, but it was his point. They are a violent team on both sides of the football. And I think that's why teams struggle against the 49ers in the second half, because they get worn down. Like there's a lot of patience from the 49ers team. They don't often go after quick wins in terms of deep balls, pass throws. It's pretty rare they break off a 60-yard run by McCaffrey. It's normally a 20-yard tops. But they just get them so often and they just wear that team down. I think that is where the 49ers could win. I think the Cowboys win with a shout, don't get me wrong, but I think the 49ers will win.
So yes or no, should Dak be going balls deep?
Yeah, absolutely should.
I think the other thing, you talk about wearing them down, there's some big raw-boned sons of bitches in your line. And
Lots of them as well.
Yeah, and also with Kittle.
Yeah.
Who's just a...
And on the Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah, Kinlaw
he's
has
an
come back.
absolute beast.
He's huge.
Jeff is at the University of Hawaii.
Excellent.
Of course he is. The University of Hawaii. Is that the Rainbow Warriors? I believe that's their football team. Is the
It's
Rainbow
not
Warriors.
often I'll quote Jeff Reinbold, but he made a good... It's
Yeah.
not...
Yeah. He looked like someone had actually dressed him properly this
I know.
weekend as well. It was very disappointing.
It's not.
He
It's
didn't look
not
homeless.
And I think his point. It's not just that 49ers play a lot of physicality. They play with violence. And I just like that comment, and I was like, that fits.
Okay.
That works.
I like the Cowboys losing too.
Yeah, we all.
So you're taking the Niners, Paul?
Of course I am.
John?
Niners.
Me, Niners. Jim?
Niners.
Gary? Cowboys?
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Okay. Quickly then, round the table, pick your Super Bowl winner from here.
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Eagles.
Niners.
Oh, Griff, you dick.
Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, man, he's going all the way.
Oh man, that's gonna be a heck of an episode of America's Game.
I cannot
starting to
watch.
believe?
I can't watch. Almost starting to believe. I said.
Still one of the funniest and greatest things
And
of
I
all time.
cannot watch another Super Bowl with the Niners in with you lot. Like,
Now you know how I felt every other year.
Maybe if we put,
no,
we'll
I don't, because we've never won one that I've watched.
We'll put them in the garage.
Yeah.
And we'll go and watch it in the living room.
In the garage, we're calling it now.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
You
Right.
didn't win, correct?
No, he didn't. He's so upset that I've
Yeah.
picked them to win it all.
Hey, you dickhead.
I feel like I've redressed the balance. Everything's going okay.
If we get an Eagles Niners championship game, I licking my lips at the prospect of that. I think that could be the most entertaining game of the season.
Yeah, but just imagine a Giants-Niners game just for the people around this table.
God.
You have to separate us.
I'm not separating fuck all. I'll be rooting for whoever wins.
Oh, no, you please, because I'll just be running off.
Okay, quickly, we didn't address our sweetest player of the week, brought to you by tootsweets.shop. Anybody want to nominate?
I'm going Debo's touchdown.
Dawson Knox's touchdown catch.
Dak bootleg.
John?
Danny Dimes' misdirection.
Fuck me, 4 different ones. I like the Dawson Knox one. I'm going with Dawson Knox this week.
I nearly went with the Daniel Jones one.
It was a great catch. Daniel Jones would have been my second pick, yeah, but Dawson Knox was my...
Dawson Knox was very good.
It was
was
very
good,
good.
yeah.
And
I'm
five
glad
touchdowns
that's
in
what-
5 games. It's
The guy's a- he
impressive.
deserves
way
a bit
to
of
win the
love.
season.
Yeah.
He does, absolutely.
As well, I know it wasn't a touchdown, but the 52-yard bomb to Diggs.
Several Diggs, yeah.
Was
Just the Gabe Davis touchdown that game was good as well.
I mean, Josh Allen didn't have a good game, but every so often he does have bad games where he still has 3 or 4 plays where he's the only player in the league that can do that sort of pass. It is Favre-esque, quite frankly. It's brilliant.
The Jets released their offensive coordinator, Mike, the Packers coach's brother.
LaFleur.
Yeah, Mike LaFleur has been released. They felt
Understandable.
after 2 seasons of not managing to make Zach Wilson, who's awful, into a decent quarterback, he had to go. I don't know if that's the best move they've made. They were ranked in the 25th or below in every offensive category going. But the most offensive category is their quarterback is shit.
Their defense has been very good.
And they lost Breece Hall.
With a half-decent offense, they should have made the playoffs, really.
He will be employed so quickly.
But they got rid of
Instead, they
Breece.
finished bottom of their division.
They got rid of Breece Hall and they brought in James Robinson and didn't do anything with
That was
him.
crazy. That is true. Anybody got anything else they want to bring up today? Anybody want to discuss Dan Quinn, who I think will be back as a head coach? That Cowboys defense has been really good. Dan Quinn lost his job because the team just couldn't cope with losing that Super Bowl. I think he's not being mentioned anywhere, and I think he'll be back.
Absolutely.
If Todd Bowles is back, Dan Quinn must be back.
He's already been asked about the Broncos job, so it's not that he's.
Well, they can't interview him because they're in the
coaching.
playoffs.
Yeah. Like,
But he'll be back.
the only
right?
person really going for interviews at the moment is Payton.
He's
Well,
telling
it was,
Michigan.
and Jim Harbour, but Jim Harbour has now
Re-signed to
Michigan. He's not coming to the NFL this year.
Do you think that's
The enemy's interviewed.
Yeah.
He interviewed at the Colts.
It's teams with a bye week. Where you've got a bye week, if there's some of their, because I think some of the Eagles coaches have also been interviewing at Colts and Texans as well. Yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to bring up before I dismiss us for the day?
Didn't the Vikings also release their?
Yes.
Again, understandable. That defense was terrible.
What was the
It's
fella's
just
name?
the owner bringing him in and going, the Giants! The Giants!
I can't remember. Was it somebody's son? It's gone out of my head completely. Anyway, it was another.
Donatel.
No, that's not who I meant at all. Okay, never mind. Yes, several coaches have been released. The one that kicks me is Joe Lombardi being dropped when Brandon Staley is terrible.
I mean, we said it earlier, Brandon Staley is the defensive coach, so I guess it does depend on where the power, blame,
I have one.
accountability, fault. Where
I have
does
one
it lie?
final thing that I want to bring up. What is Lamar doing for next season?
Apparently, the Ravens have said he is their quarterback of the future, just a lot cheaper than he was 6 months ago.
Lamar's missed 31.6% of offensive snaps this year, and 31% of offensive snaps last year, and 34.8% of offensive snaps this year. You can't give a quarterback who misses a third of the season a fully guaranteed contract.
No.
Lamar has to realise that.
He has to go and get himself an agent.
Do you not think he'll be on the franchise tag?
Yeah, he will be.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think there's a lot of conjecture about could he have played this week? Could he not have played? You know.
Did you see the
did he-
RG3 tweet about
Yeah,
this?
did
About
he-
saying, like, you don't put a brace on it and play because that's what I did and
Yeah,
look what it did to me.
absolutely. But, you know, Sammy Watkins come out and said, you know, he should be playing here. He should be leading his team.
He should be at least travelling with the team.
Absolutely.
Like Sterling Shepard, you know, different position, but he's
at every game.
ACL, he's
Yeah.
at every game. He's there geeing up the
Absolutely.
receivers before the game. Like when Mike White and Flacco, when they're there helping each other out.
Yeah.
It's noticeable that Zach Wilson
Yeah.
fucks off, and Lamar, when the team need him, is not there.
I think the biggest question is because, they'll put him on a franchise tag. No matter what happens, he'll be on a franchise tag unless he obviously signs a contract. And the bigger question is then, does he sign it? 'Cause he doesn't have to.
It could be a tag and trade thing here, you know. I've got to. It
I think
wouldn't
it will
surprise me at all if it's tag and trade.
I think it's a 50-50 at the moment.
Just can't believe someone's thumbed that in. That is, we are ending the podcast there on a low. Thanks, James. Bye, everyone.